Good Tuesday, one and all. It's Figgie and the Moose with you right here on Pix 11 Plus. What's going on, Nelson? How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well, Marc. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I thought we'd be a little proper to kick off the program before we start using nicknames, just in case anyone isn't aware that you're Figgie, a.k.a. Nelson.
It says on the bottom who we are.
Marc Malusis. Yeah, just in case people have issues connecting the dots, that's all. We have the return of Giancarlo Stanton to the lineup for the New York Yankees. As you saw last night, he went 2 for 4 at a single and a double. I thought he looked pretty good up at the plate. We talked about it last night on Sports Nation Nightly, and usually it's a slow trickle of a start when Stanton does return, which you can understand, getting used to the velocity in Major League pitching, even though he's had a really successful MLB career. He's been great in the month of October as well for the Bombers, but oft injured during the regular season. We know that. Part of being great is also being available, but we thought maybe we'd take a little bit of an adjustment. Last night, he wasn't the issue. The issue for the Yankees was, the inability to come through with a big-time hit. They lose the game in extra innings. They had opportunities. They decide to send Jason Dominguez and decide to, steal a hit and run, second to third. Yeah. Ball hit right to the third baseman. Dominguez tagged out at third base, extra innings. Goldschmidt thrown gun down at the plate. Good tag, good hold by the catcher for the Los Angeles Angels. And the Yankees end up losing the game in extras, and now they've lost 4 in a row, Figgy.
Yeah, 4 in a row, and when you're losing to a team like the Angels, that's not exactly like they're an upstart team. It's just concerning, a 1-0 game. Well, they find ways to pitch around, of course, Aaron Judge, putting him on base in the 10th inning. Decidedly, that's not exactly the guy you want to challenge, or 11th inning, not the guy you want to challenge. Stanton, looked fine. I mean, with his strength and his ability, we watched him out there how many times early batting practice with the machine cranked up to 100 and him just learning how to just put the bat on the ball. And his has so much power. You see him hitting these one hoppers off the fence, and it looks like he barely takes a swing. So good to see him get out there and be able to put the ball in play and have a productive evening with 2 for 4 night. The rest of the Yankee lineup, I mean, like you said, opportunities aplenty. Darno was the catcher who held on to that ball on a great play. Goldschmidt had to hold up because the broken bat, he sees the ball go up in the air. He doesn't want to get doubled off, right? He doesn't want to make sure it gets past the pitcher. Is always what you're told as a base runner at third base. It has to get past the pitcher. Well, the infield is in that situation. It's just a looping line drive. So he takes it up on the short hop, makes an athletic throw to home, bang, bang play at the plate, and Goldschmidt is out. My beef goes back to DJ LeMahieu and not being able to get the ball down and move a guy over in the previous inning. And that's just one of those things where you keep looking at the lack of depth, the lack of a guy coming through in the clutch. Volpe has an opportunity and swings at a pitch. That's not what you're looking to do in that situation. You're not looking to ground out weakly off the end of the bat. His power has been to the right side, hitting the ball the other way. That was a pitch to do it with. And inexplicably, he tried to turn on it and just threw his hands at it. And you could see the defeated look because he didn't even get all the way down the line because he knew the game was over. But 1-0 to the Angels, 4 in a row. And, you got to find a way for somebody other than Judge to step up. And Bellinger's ball, I thought Bellinger's ball was out. I thought it was gone.
Yeah.
Right? There was a couple of balls like that. There was a couple of balls in the Met game as well. We was talking about Soto's ball that, a couple nights ago where.
We can get into the raised teams and the more drag on the baseball or the quote unquote dead baseball in 2025 as compared to previous years.
I'm not even joking. I was like, oh my God, it's over. As soon as Bellinger hit that ball and it just stopped.
Well, and then there was the drive earlier in the game by Judge to straightaway center field where
Goldschmidt's drive to center field.
He thought it was gone. Yeah, I mean, listen, Yankees, a lot of guys have cooled off. I mean, Ben Rice has cooled off, Goldschmidt's cooled off, Bellinger's cooled off, and I think you hit upon it. The concern you have for the Yankees right now is, offensively, where are they going to get that consistent punch for somebody outside of number 99? That's the problem you have. Then you get to the starting rotation outside Max Fried. The starters wasn't bad last night. I mean, that was not the issue. The bullpen was they couldn't score, right? But they couldn't score over the weekend up in Boston. And everyone wants to continue to look at OPS and the home run totals, but sometimes you got to watch with these two things, your eyes, and watch exactly where the team is trending. And this is not a good trend when you look at this Yankee team. Their lead in the American League East is down to 2.5 games against the Tampa Bay Rays, who came off the weekend in which they went to Queens and took care of business against the New York Mets. And we know that the Yankees have always had this kind of inferiority complex when it comes to the Tampa Bay Rays because of how they do it and how differently, and don't spend a ton of money, but continue to go out there and win baseball games. So I would tell you, I'm not overly concerned. Like, I think the Yankees are still, one of the two teams in the American League that to get to the Fall Classic, those are the top two betting interests. Those are the top two choices. I think the Yankees are talented, but this team needs reinforcing. I don't think there's any question. Getting Stanton back will help because the lineup needs to be lengthened out. But as you pointed out last night on the old TV, Figgy, is that bottom fourth of the lineup, you're getting reports that Oswald Peraza is starting to work in the outfield a little bit. Dominguez hasn't been the offensive force that a lot of people expected him to go out there and be. Let's be honest. I mean, Volpe is great defensively, but that wasn't what he was billed as, right? He was billed as to be a great offensive player, not the next Ozzie Smith or Omar Vizquel. The third base continues to be an issue. Second base, I mean, wherever you decide to go out there and play Jazz Chisholm. So, that's a concern when you look at the Bombers here. They've lost 4 straight, and you thought, okay, well, they'll get healthy on an Angel team last night, and they didn't. As far as the Mets are concerned, they had an off day on Monday. They go down to Atlanta, and we talked about last night on TV, hit upon a little bit yesterday right here on Figgie and the Moose, this is an important 10-game stretch for the Mets. 3 with Atlanta on the road, 3 with Philadelphia down in Philadelphia, and then come back for home for 4 against the Atlanta Braves. And if you're Atlanta, this is it. I mean, like, this is ride or die time. Because you've got an opportunity to get yourself back into some things. You still have a ton of work to do when you're looking at the complexion of the National League East, but it's a Mets team that got swept by the Tampa Bay Rays. Hitting with runners in scoring position continues to be an issue. They've ridden some hot streaks, whether it be Alonso or whether it be Francisco Lindor. Brandon Nimmo has been very, very hit and miss, but this is an important series for the Mets, for a team that has a couple game lead, 2.5. What is it? 2.5, I think, over the Philadelphia Phillies in the National League East as we talk on this Tuesday morning. This is an important series for the Mets, an important series for the Atlanta Braves. Should be fun the next 3 nights.
Yeah, it's down to a 2-game lead over the Phillies because they played yesterday. The Mets did it. The Braves, yeah, this is do or die for them. Honestly, you're 13 games back. And, if you lose any more ground, it makes it almost impossible to come back from a plus 15. And you're sitting almost not even touching July as of yet. So it's do or die for them. Will they play with that kind of urgency? Will they, will you see things done a little differently? Acuna's rounding himself into form, and it didn't take him long. We talked about Stanton got a base hit in his first time at bat. Acuna hit the ball 470 feet or something in his first at bat. He's a special player. Just keeping him healthy has been the issue for the Braves over the past few seasons. Their pitching staff, again, there's a lot of guys on that pitching staff who you couldn't name the 5 guys in the rotation, but they find a way to be at the one at the side of the Mets at times. And that's the biggest thing is that will they continue to do things the way they have? Because that means that they know their opponent very, very well. They pitched against the Mets very well. We've seen tremendous games go down to the wire against the Mets. And obviously the crux of last year's team was hitting with runners in scoring position and getting the job done and big clutch moments and things of that nature. We've seen a few of those, but too far and few between where especially a guy named Juan Soto comes up to the plate and has a chance to be a game changer. And we're not seeing that nearly as much as we had, when he was a Yankee. I don't remember seeing so many with San Diego. I don't remember, the Nationals other than the World Series. But this is where, again, you talk about guys that need to step up. This is where Soto continues. He's got a 1,300 OPS in the month of June, but it feels like it's mostly singles, and a couple singles here and there, but not singles with runners in scoring position or bases loaded. Those are the times that you really need to see him rise to the occasion. So good series ahead of us. Excited to see that. And then, of course, What's to make of those starters that are right in the rotation right now? Because Manaea's coming back soon. Montas is getting increasing in his rehab, but the two starters that you worry about, we touched upon this yesterday, was McGill and Canning, where maybe the tricks are wearing off a little bit. They need to
caught up to them a little bit. Well, you don't see either of those two in this series. You're going to see Peterson, Blackburn, and Clay Holmes. They're going to be the three starters. You're going to get Spencer Strider for the Atlanta Braves. We talked about the other day Acuna getting hot. 7 home runs, 21, 22 games. The Phillies have, as you mentioned, 2 games back. They've won 5 in a row, but this is an Atlanta Brave team that enters this series, 8 games under the 500 mark. I think their win total coming into the year was set at 92.5. They got off to that atrocious start. There's been some chemistry issues, obviously injuries. They cut their shortstop, designated him for assignment. I mean, there's been a lot of issues this year for the Atlanta Braves, but Mets have an opportunity to bury them. Let's see if they do. Do they let them up for air, or do the Mets bury them? And Atlanta's going to look at this as a time to where, this season hasn't gone right for us, but we have an opportunity to get ourselves back into it. We've got a big 7 games against this Met team. We're 13 games back in the next 10.
Yeah, if they somehow find themselves only 7, 8 back,
that's a disaster.
That's a disaster for the week for the New York Mets, because combined with what happens in Philadelphia, that's where the wheels are starting to come off, and things are going to happen. But
then we won't just be talking about Juan Soto and his strut and some swag. We're talking about some other issues with the Mets, right? But I mean, that's putting the cart before the horse. Listen, I think they'll respond. I don't think they're. Listen, I don't. I'd be surprised if they go 6-1 against Atlanta or something like that. Just because the importance of the series for the Atlanta Braves. But I have a hard time believing that this Met team, coming off the weekend they did against the Tampa Bay Rays, and in hindsight, maybe that'll be a good thing to grab this team's attention a little bit, Figgy, to get set for the series that gets going tonight. I'd be surprised if they didn't respond down in Atlanta, in Philly, and then 4 home against the Braves.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see is, how well they play at home. Other than the Tampa Bay series, they played fantastic at home. So those 4 games at home, I'm saying they win 3 out of 4 right there. And all you got to do is take 1, and then that's 4 out of 7, and that's good enough to keep them at bay and 14 games behind you.
Come back. It's Figgie and the Moose on this Tuesday on Pix 11 Plus. We'll talk a little bit about Game 5 of the NBA Finals and some other things as well. The return of Joey Chestnut to the hot dog eating contest. We'll get into that too. It's Marc, Malusis, Nelson, Figueroa, as you can see with the names underneath us. Figgie and the Moose right here on this Tuesday, Pix 11 Plus. All right, welcome back to Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus on this Tuesday. Game 5 of the NBA Finals last night. The Oklahoma City Thunder, as we would expect, as we both expected, they were a 9.5-point favorite last night at home. Knock off Indiana 120-109. So they win, they cover, they have a 3-2 series lead. They were a decided favorite going into this series. And I think the stunning nature of the way that game played out, where at one point in time it was a 95-93 game with about 8.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And you think to yourself, well, here come the Indiana Pacers. But you got a terrible performance. I understand he's got a calf injury. That was made perfectly clear on the broadcast last night. But Tyrese Halliburton gave you nothing from an Indiana perspective. Pascal Siakam tried to throw the Superman cape on. So did TJ McConnell for a large stretch there toward the tail end of that third quarter. He was utterly fantastic for Rick Carlisle and the Indiana Pacers. But, Halliburton gave you nothing, and Oklahoma City with Jalen Williams and obviously SGA, they were just too strong, too good offensively, got enough stops and too many empty possessions for the Pacers, Figgy.
Yeah, you got 71 points between those two guys. One of those nights where you want anybody else to be the guy to beat you, but when you get the hot hand like that, Jalen Williams was just on fire. Even SGA realized they had to keep feeding him the ball and giving him opportunities. Those two guys are just special. And you talk about the chemistry of that team and knowing their roles, right? We heard that a lot with the Knicks and the complaints that they didn't know their roles. They didn't know, especially offensively, what am I supposed to do besides watch Jalen Brunson dribble around? Well, it doesn't feel that way with SGA. It feels like SGA dribbling around is creating opportunities, not only for himself, but for his teammates, right? You see guys in Indiana trying to overly play defense against him. He brings off a guy from coverage. They kick it out. They move it around. They find an open shooter. And they're athletic. They're young. They're dynamic. All the way across the board, their roster is such where even when it was 93-95 with 8 minutes left to go, you were like, damn, it's 8 minutes left to go. Like, I don't feel like the Oklahoma City Thunder were going to fade out by any means. They were going toe to toe, and only got stronger down the stretch. I love just there's a tenacity to that team, right? And it was something that we said, with the Knicks, it was always playing catch up. It was always playing catch up. Well, with Oklahoma City, is like, how long can you hold on to them before they run away from you? That's what you see. That's what you see from that team. And I don't want to win away right now, and they're doing what they were exactly supposed to do.
No doubt. They outscored Indiana by 9 from behind the arc. That can't happen. They doubled up the turnovers. I mean, Indiana turned the basketball over 22 times. Oklahoma City only had 11. And, Halliburton finished with a game of 4.7 rebounds and 6 assists. It's he's a strange player, Figgy, when you look at Halliburton. Makes a lot of, people have talked about him being the head of the snake. I don't disagree with that. But odd player where he doesn't force the issue offensively. But with him having a down night offensively, finishing the night 0 of 6 from the floor, 0 of 4 from 3, did all of his damage at the free throw line. They needed a guy like Benedict Mathurin to not go 2 of 11. He did. McConnell did his job. Obi Toppin tried to ignite the team offensively, almost to a fault in the second half, taking 5 threes and only hitting 1 of them. I mentioned Siakam. He was brilliant for the Indiana Pacers, but for Oklahoma City, I mean, just too good. And when they're knocking down their threes, here's the thing you need to look at. We can get caught up in the turnovers. We can talk about Halliburton. We can talk about all of that. But if Oklahoma City is going to outscore Indiana from behind the arc, the Pacers are not winning that basketball game. They're just not.
Yeah, it's not. It's already a daunting task. And then when you add I think Halliburton said it best. He said, for some reason against a team, it feels like there's 5 guys on you at one time. No matter which way you go, they seem to, every way you look, you try to make a spin move, there's another guy right there on you already. You have no room to breathe, and they are constantly getting turnovers and constantly knocking the ball loose. You see that over and over again, guys having to dive on the court. That's got to be a frustrating feeling. And when you're somebody like Halliburton, like we said, the unpredictability of that guy, the way he dribbles in and then dribbles back out, the way he turns left, shoots right, or passes, when you think there's not even a space to pass. He does a lot of things in a very unorthodox way. And I think that Oklahoma City, and the way that they play defense, is a little unorthodox because you never know who's going to come at you. It's not a set, okay, here's a big man coming out on a screen at the top. Like we saw that pick and roll over and over again with the Knicks, right? That you could point out the play. It was going to be a high pick and roll to get Jalen Brunson open so that he can dribble and then create his own shot. That's not what you see from OKC. And when you are able to play defense the way that they do and get out running in transition, we talked about the Pacers. Aptly named Pacers. You got to find a way to keep pace with those guys. You don't want to try and challenge the Oklahoma City Thunder to a race. They're very, very good in transition.
No doubt. And Game 6 will be Thursday night back in Indiana. We'll give you a preview right here on Pix 11 Plus on Figgie and the Moose as we inch closer and closer and see if the Pacers can go back and force a Game 7 back in Oklahoma City. They're going to need a significantly better performance from Tyrese Halliburton if that is going to happen. And, I thought it was great news for our area yesterday that, your old stomping grounds, Coney Island, and July 4th, we all love our nation's holiday and celebrate our birthday and everything that comes along with it, the fireworks, the barbecue, beach, pool, hanging out with friends, family, your favorite libation, whatever it might be, Figgy. But you can't have a Nathan's. I'm not into competitive eating, right? I'm just not. Like, it's not like something I go out there and watch the videos. Yeah. It's kind of disturbing.
Not looking for the line. You're not looking for the line on the.
No. There's one event that is entertaining, and that's the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. Because who doesn't love a nice glizzy, right? Who doesn't love a nice, especially Nathan's? And if you've ever been to the original out in Coney Island, like, it's significantly better than all these pop-up shops.
No doubt.
It's a tremendous hot dog. It really is. And the crinkle cut fries and the little fork that they give you that never really works, and the dipping sauce and the hot dog nuggets, like Nathan's is great, right? Not that we're giving free promotion, but you know what I mean. Nathan's hot dogs are fantastic. But the return of Joey Chestnut, because you can't really have a championship and a champion be decided when the best that has ever done it is on the sideline watching it because he decided to sign a sponsorship deal with Impossible Foods. So last year wasn't much buzz around it. Last year didn't really have the same pop, same sizzle, but now Joey Chestnut will make his return on the 4th of July out to Coney Island and will be part of the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. All is right.
Listen, proof is in the pudding. He is must-see TV. They sold a pay-per-view special of him and Kobayashi going at it. Remember that? And he dominated Kobayashi then yet again. So when you see Joey Chestnut's name on the marquee, you know you're in for a treat. Otherwise, think about it. When he's not there, the winner's highest score of his life is the lowest score Joey Chestnut has ever had.
Yeah.
It's just not the same. It's just not the same, right? You don't want to. This is where you want the dunk contest to be, you know, the guys that you think are high flyers and the superstars. We don't want the hot dog eating contest to become the dunk contest, right? I don't know who this guy is. This guy ate 12 hot dogs. I could eat 12 hot dogs. You know, if I see that on the board, on the leaderboard, if 12 hot dogs is on the leaderboard, I have an issue because I don't train for it, but I know I can go out there on an empty stomach and put up a fight and get me 13 hot dogs.
You might feel it for like 5-6 days, but yes, you probably I firmly agree with you. We both probably could take down 12 hot dogs. I don't think there's any doubt. So the intro is going to be fantastic. It's going to be a great day. Chestnut returning to the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. And I think that's the right number for you and I. I think the number would be 12. I think that would probably be it. Figgie?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. I think the number for you and I would be 12, the over-under number, correct?
Solid. It's a solid one. Yeah, I go with that.
There you go. Very nice. Well, Chestnut's back. I'm
saying 12, and then when I start thinking about it, I'm thinking about getting past 6 and wondering if I got enough in the tank.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean 12 it would be very uncomfortable evening. I'll be honest with you. Like 12 would be really, really uncomfortable. Especially, you know, the fact that we're not in our 20s anymore. That's the other issue you have, too. You got to deal with the repercussions afterward. I mean, we're talking a big game. When it came down to it, probably take the under. I think the betting market would probably go under.
We have our July 4th show. I say we back up our words.
No,
you and me.
No, because I want to make it to July 5th. I want to make it to July 5th. I'm all for entertainment, right? I really am. I mean, we could do something. We could maybe do something in studio. I would agree with that. I don't know if I could. Maybe we could do something. Yeah, I'm a little bit bothered. But I've had some stomach issues as of late. I'd be a little concerned about that. The repercussions the next few days afterward.
Yeah. Now the line has changed with that statement right there. The line has gone down with that statement.
Under. I'm taking it behind the scenes, right? I'll take you behind. Like I'd probably take the L for comfortability for the following few days.
I don't blame you. Hey, live to fight another day. I get it.
Yeah, Figgie, you're the champ. Here's the belt. Enjoy the next couple nights.
All right, but before we even think about going, we have to talk about the unicorn being back.
Yes, Shohei. Yes, he's back. The Dodgers win.
100 mile.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
100-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Sliders breaking off the table. Things moving everywhere, almost too much. The rust was definitely there, but again, when it's got to be so encouraging for Dodgers fans and for baseball fans in general to see this guy coming back from Tommy John. And you know, they always say about Tommy John's as far as surgeries. It's not necessary. It's not the end. It used to be the end. Like, oh my God, Tommy John, this guy's going to be damaged goods. Now you get Tommy John, and it's almost like a tune-up. You know, you get a year off of throwing, you get a year off of doing damage to your arm throughout, and you get a year to rest it and then rebuild it the right way. And you come back most of these guys come back throwing stronger than before. And to see him go out there, and I'm sure the adrenaline helped, but you know, 100 miles an hour, sitting 98 to 100. Nasty movement on his pitches. It's just going to be fun to watch this summer as he rounds back into form.
Yeah, and they get the return of Shohei, coupled with the news that Roki Sasaki, there's no timetable for his return for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They've got 14 pitchers on the IL, but like we talked about last night, he's a guy that brings attention to Major League Baseball. He's Rob Manfred's best friend. There aren't many that do it. You could probably name 3 or 4 guys, Judge being one of them with the Yankees, that just bring eyeballs to the set, but clearly there's nobody in the class of Shohei Ohtani, and it's great to see him back on the mound last night. You mentioned a little bit of rust, but he'll figure it out. The concern you'd have is Dodgers aren't great handling pitchers. That's the only other issue you have when you look at all the guys.
It seems that way.
And all the arm injuries out there in Los Angeles with the Dodgers. I mean, there are a lot of arm issues out there in L.A., there's no doubt, but it's good to have Shohei back. Well said. All right, Figgy, enjoy your day. I'll see you later on tonight at the station, all right?
You got it, brother.
You got it. For Nelson Figueroa, I'm Marc Malusis. This has been Figgie and the Moose on this Tuesday right here on Pix 11 Plus.